True wealth is kindness, not money. This is the heart of the story, the lesson that slowly unfolds through Daniel's journey. Daniel had built an empire with his own 2 hands, and on paper he had everything anyone could ever want: luxury, freedom, admiration. But every evening when he returned to his mansion, he sat in silence. The ticking of the clock echoed louder than laughter, and the glow of chandeliers never replaced the warmth of a family. He wore expensive suits, but beneath them lived a man empty of connection. When he gave his maid Maria his credit card, it seemed like a small, even careless gesture. But what followed revealed something greater. Maria didn't spend on herself, no new clothes, no jewelry, no comforts. She spent on her granddaughter, paying for hospital bills Daniel didn't even know existed. This broke him, not because of the money, but because it uncovered how blind he had been to the struggles of the person who had been beside him for years. For the first time, Daniel saw that wealth is only valuable when it is shared. His millions couldn't buy him happiness, but when he used them to save a child's life, to bring hope to a family, they suddenly had meaning. Watching Sophia, frail yet smiling, stirred emotions he thought he had buried with his late wife. Her laughter filled his empty halls in a way no diamond ever could. He realized he had been chasing the wrong kind of success. True success was not in adding another car to his garage or another property to his name, but in giving life joy and love to those who needed it. In Maria's sacrifice and Sophia's resilience, he found a mirror to his own soul. He had power, but he lacked purpose. Now, purpose was given back to him in the form of a child calling him Grandpa. The lesson is simple yet profound: kindness is wealth. When you share what you have, be it money, time, or love, you multiply it. Daniel's money, locked away in accounts, had no value beyond numbers on a screen, but once it was used to heal Sophia, it became priceless. It gave Maria peace, gave Sophia health, and gave Daniel family. This transformation shows us that kindness, unlike material possessions, grows the more you give it away. Daniel discovered that his fortune only mattered when it touched lives, and through this act, he finally felt whole again. Hidden struggles deserve empathy. Maria's life was a testament to this. For years, she worked quietly, cleaning rooms, dusting shelves, cooking meals. To Daniel, she was reliable, trustworthy, and humble. But what he didn't see was that behind her calm smile were sleepless nights, unpaid bills, and the constant fear of losing the only family she had left. She never asked for help, never complained, because dignity kept her silent. People like Maria exist everywhere. Neighbors, coworkers, even friends, who carry enormous burdens but choose silence over pity. They fight their battles in the shadows, hoping no one will see their tears. When Daniel accidentally uncovered Maria's secret, it shook him. He realized that he had looked at her every day but never truly seen her. This is a mistake many of us make. We pass people in the street, interact with those who serve us, but we rarely stop to imagine what storms they might be facing. Maria's granddaughter was fighting for her life, and Daniel had been blind to it until her spending revealed the truth. This moment taught him, and us, that every person has a story, every smile might hide pain, and every silence might carry unspoken suffering. Empathy is about opening our eyes and hearts to these hidden struggles. It is not always about giving money. Sometimes it is about listening, noticing, and offering a hand before someone asks. For Maria, the gift of empathy meant more than financial help. It meant being seen, respected, and supported in her darkest hour. For Sophia, empathy meant the chance to live, to dream, to laugh again. And for Daniel, empathy gave him a new identity, not just as a millionaire, but as a man with a family. Together, these truths create a message that is unforgettable: wealth without kindness is emptiness, and people's hidden struggles deserve our empathy. When Daniel gave Maria his credit card, he thought it was just a gesture, but in truth, it was an invitation for her to reveal her deepest pain, and for him to finally use his wealth to heal rather than to accumulate. What broke his heart was not the money spent, but the realization that he had lived so long surrounded by silence and had failed to notice the quiet suffering of someone so close. Yet in that heartbreak, he found redemption. This story reminds us that the smallest act of kindness can open doors to the greatest transformations. Sometimes it takes seeing the struggles of another to awaken the humanity within us, and sometimes what we give away in compassion returns to us in love, in laughter, and in the family we never knew we were missing. Hidden struggles deserve empathy. That truth lies at the center of Maria's story, though she never wanted anyone to know it. Every day she moved quietly through Daniel's mansion, dusting shelves, polishing floors, preparing meals, and making sure everything ran perfectly. To the outside eye, she was steady, dependable, even ordinary. To Daniel, she was loyal and hardworking, a woman who never complained and never asked for anything more than her wages. But what he never realized was that behind her soft smile and calm manner lived a storm she carried alone. Maria had a granddaughter named Sophia, a little girl with eyes full of light but a body weakened by illness. Sophia had been born with a heart condition, something fragile and dangerous that required constant attention. From the moment her daughter passed away in childbirth, Maria had become both mother and grandmother, pouring every ounce of love she had into raising Sophia. But love alone could not pay medical bills. Love could not cover the endless prescriptions, the checkups, the treatments that kept Sophia alive. Maria earned her modest wages and sent nearly every penny to doctors and hospitals, leaving herself with almost nothing. Still, she never said a word. Every morning she wore the same faded uniform, tied her apron, and arrived with a gentle, "Good morning, sir." She knew Daniel had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes, but she refused to ask him for help. Pride and dignity built a wall around her struggles. She wanted to be seen not as a beggar, but as a woman doing her duty with honor. So she carried her burden in silence, crying only when no one could hear, praying only when no one could see. This silence is what so many people live with. Struggles hidden beneath forced smiles, fears tucked away behind routine conversations. We assume people are fine because they don't tell us otherwise, but often the truth is that their hearts are heavy. The woman ringing up groceries may be worrying about how to feed her children. The man fixing cars may be drowning in debt. The friend who always says, "I'm fine," may be battling battles too deep to put into words. Hidden struggles are everywhere, and they are easy to miss unless we look closer. When Daniel handed Maria his credit card, he thought he was offering her a little treat, a chance to enjoy herself for once. He imagined she might buy clothes, or shoes, or maybe something nice for her home. Instead, Maria used it to pay hospital bills stacked so high they had nearly crushed her. When Daniel discovered this, his heart broke, not because of the money, but because it opened his eyes to just how much she had been hiding. He realized that for years she had been standing right in front of him, carrying a mountain of pain, and he had never noticed. That is the lesson of empathy, to notice, to look deeper, to ask not only, "How are you?" but to mean it, to wait for the real answer, to give space for people to share what they are afraid to say. Empathy is the act of stepping into someone else's shoes long enough to feel the weight they are carrying. It doesn't always require wealth or grand gestures. Sometimes empathy is as simple as listening without judgment, offering encouragement, or showing patience when someone falters. For Maria, empathy came in the form of Daniel finally seeing her, finally understanding the depth of her silence. Empathy also requires humility. Daniel had lived so long assuming that his money gave him control over everything. He solved problems with checks and signatures, built towers with investments, and bought loyalty with salaries. But Maria's quiet endurance showed him something different. Money had not protected her from suffering. Pride had not let her ask for help. What she needed was not pity, but understanding, compassion, and the willingness of another person to share her burden. When Daniel chose to step into Maria's world, he discovered what her silence had hidden. He met Sophia, fragile but radiant with hope. He saw how every sacrifice Maria had made was written in that child's survival. And he realized that empathy wasn't just about feeling sorry. It was about acting in love. He could have said, "I understand," and walked away. But true empathy moves us to do something. For Daniel, that meant paying for Sophia's surgery, standing by Maria's side at the hospital, and offering his presence as much as his money. The transformation didn't just heal Sophia, it healed Daniel too. In choosing to care about someone else's hidden struggle, he broke through his own loneliness. For the first time since losing his wife, his home was filled with laughter again. His wealth became a tool for connection rather than isolation. And Maria, who once walked quietly in the shadows of his grand home, now stood as family, no longer unseen, no longer unheard. Empathy is powerful because it changes both the giver and the receiver. It lifts the burden from one set of shoulders and reminds the other of their humanity. It teaches us that we are all connected, that no one should have to carry their struggles alone. Maria's silence could have remained unbroken. Her granddaughter's illness could have worsened, and Daniel could have continued living in ignorance. But one moment of kindness cracked open the truth, and with it, the possibility of healing. That is why hidden struggles deserve empathy. Because behind every calm face there may be a story of pain. Behind every quiet worker there may be a child waiting for medicine. Behind every, "I'm fine," there may be tears waiting to be understood. When we choose to notice, when we choose to care, we bring light into someone else's darkness. And often, we discover that in helping them, we find our own light as well.